Hi everyone. I hope you are doing well. I pray to God that you and your family are safe and happy. Today's story takes us back to a defining moment of World War II. This is not a story of legends or myths, but the real decisions, mistakes, and realities of war. June 6, 1944, Normandy, France. The English Channel is gray and violent. Landing craft slam into waves under low clouds and German fire. Men of the U.S. First Army brace for impact as ramps drop along Omaha and Utah beaches, a few miles inland, away from the cameras and the glory. First Lieutenant Frances Eliza Slanger, United States Army Nurse Corps, is already awake. She belongs to the 45th Field Hospital, attached to the 1st Army. Her war is not fought with rifles. It is fought with morphine syringes, plasma bottles, and seconds measured in heartbeats. She is 29 years old, trained, disciplined, exhausted. The hospital unit lands in Normandy just days after D-Day. There is no real shelter, only canvas tents pitched in hedgerows. German artillery searches the countryside constantly. Shells fall without warning. The wounded begin arriving immediately. Rangers from Pointe du Hoc, infantrymen from the beach exits, tank crewmen burned by fuel fires. Slanger works standing for hours, hands slick with blood, boots sunk into mud. There is no pause between patients, no music, no speeches, only breathing until it stops. Normandy is chaos. The bocage turns every field into a fortress. American units bleed for yards of ground. Each mile forward sends hundreds more casualties back to Slanger's tables. She triages by flashlight at night, while shells burst close, enough to shake dust from tent poles. She writes letters for men who cannot hold pens. She cuts away uniforms fused to skin. She does it quietly, professionally, without drama. German counterattacks begin after midnight. Artillery brackets the hospital area. The Geneva Convention means nothing to high explosive shells. The wounded cannot move. The nurses stay. On June 9, 1944, Slanger writes a letter home. She admits fear but not regret. She believes the work matters, that this suffering shortens the war. In the early hours of June 10, incoming fire grows closer. The hospital prepares to relocate. Equipment is packed. Litters are lifted. The sound of artillery sharpens, walking forward. Then a shell lands short. Another lands closer. The third does not miss. The night flashes white. The explosion collapses a section of the field hospital. Canvas tears, poles snap, dirt and shrapnel rip through the tents meant to save lives. When the dust settles, the wounded are screaming again. Some are silent. First Lieutenant Frances Slanger is thrown to the ground. Her helmet is gone. Her ears ring, but she is alive. Others are not. A nurse lies motionless near the surgical table. An orderly bleeds out beside stacked plasma crates. The enemy fire has found its target. There is no time to grieve. More shells are coming. Slanger stands. She moves automatically. Training overrides shock. She checks pulses, pulls the living away from the dead, shouts orders through smoke and confusion. The hospital is marked. Everyone knows it. It does not matter. American units are still fighting to break through the bocage. German artillery observers remain active. This field hospital is now inside an active fire zone. Evacuation resumes under fire. Stretchers move through darkness, guided by whispered commands and brief flashes of light. Trucks wait with engines running, headlights blacked out. A direct hit would turn them into coffins. Slanger helps lift a ranger whose leg is gone above the knee. He grabs her sleeve. He asks if he will live. She tells him to hold on. She does not promise. Another shell lands closer. Shrapnel cuts through the tent again. Command orders immediate displacement, but several patients cannot be moved. Too unstable, too close to death. Leaving them guarantees nothing. Moving them may kill them faster. Slanger stays. She kneels beside a corporal with abdominal wounds. His breathing is shallow. She adjusts the drip, wipes blood from his face, keeps him conscious with her voice while explosions roll through the hedgerows. The earth shakes continuously now. This is no longer random fire. The Germans are walking their artillery forward. A sudden blast rips open the ground near the tent entrance. Slanger feels the pressure hit her chest like a hammer. She stumbles but does not fall. She finishes tying a bandage that will not hold for long. Outside, men shout that they must leave now. The road will be cut within minutes. She looks once more at the men who cannot move. She makes the decision every nurse here is forced to make. Another shell screams in, closer than before. The war does not pause for mercy. It does not distinguish between riflemen and nurses. It only counts time and distance. The flash comes again brighter, louder, final. The shell lands inside the perimeter. Not close. Inside, the blast tears through the remaining tent wall. Metal fragments cut through canvas, flesh, bone. The ground lifts, then everything drops. When the smoke clears, the field hospital is no longer a hospital. It is debris scattered across a hedgerow. First Lieutenant Francis Slanger does not move. Men pull bodies from the wreckage under continuing fire. They work by instinct, counting breath instead of time. The wounded are dragged into shallow ditches. Some scream, some do not. Slanger is found near a stretcher she had refused to abandon. Shrapnel has struck her upper body. The wound is fatal. She is pronounced dead at 02:00 hours, June 10, 1944. Cause: enemy artillery. She is the first American woman killed by enemy action. In the European theater of operations, the shelling does not stop. The war does not acknowledge the moment. The remnants of the 45th Field Hospital complete their withdrawal. Trucks roll out one by one, carrying survivors and bodies together toward a new position farther from the guns. The campaign continues. Across Normandy, American infantry fight hedgerow by hedgerow. Casualties remain catastrophic. Medics and nurses follow the front forward again within days. The system absorbs the loss and keeps moving. Slanger's personal effects are collected. Her letters, her dog tags, her helmet, recovered bent and cracked. Word reaches her unit later that morning. There is no ceremony, only a brief pause. Then more wounded arrive. In the broader picture, the invasion succeeds. German defenses fracture. Allied forces push inland toward Saint-Lay. The beachhead holds, but for the men whose lives passed through that tent, the war is already defined. Some live because a nurse stayed under fire long enough to slow the bleeding. Some die knowing they were not left alone. On June 12, 1944, Slanger is buried at St. Lawrence-sur-Mer Cemetery. Overlooking Omaha Beach, rows of white crosses stretch into the distance. Artillery can still be heard inland. Her grave is marked simply. Name, rank, course, date. Back at the front, another hospital opens. Another nurse takes her place. Another set of hands reaches into blood and darkness. The battle is not over. Normandy will grind on for weeks more. The price will be paid daily, and the war moves forward, carried not just by those who fire weapons, but by those who stand still when everyone else is ordered to run. The front line moves, but the wounded keep coming. By mid-June 1944, the American advance stalls outside Saint-Lay. The hedgerows turn every approach into a kill zone. German machine guns fire from hidden earthworks. Mortar drop without warning. Each assault ends the same way: ground taken, bodies left behind. The medical chain absorbs the pressure. What remains of the 45th Field Hospital reestablishes operations farther inland. New tents rise before the smoke clears. Tables are scrubbed. Instruments are counted. The name Francis Slanger is spoken once, quietly, and then work resumes. Incoming casualties spike after every failed push. Shell shock, compound fractures, shrapnel wounds packed with dirt and hedge fragments, burns from knocked-out Sherman tanks. The nurses work without pause. Some of them use Slanger only for days. Others train beside her. None of them have time to process the loss. A stretcher arrives every few minutes. Decisions are made in seconds. Who can be saved? Who cannot? Outside, Operation Cobra is being planned. Air power will be used to break the stalemate. But before that happens, the front bleeds. German counter-battery fire continues to hunt hospitals. Locations change constantly. Canvas gives way to ruined farmhouses. Cellars become operating rooms. The Red Cross emblem offers no protection. At night, artillery sound becomes constant background noise. Sleep comes in fragments 10 minutes at a time. On dirt floors, boots still on. The memory of June 10th lingers. No one says her name during incoming fire. Everyone thinks it. A young private arrives with chest wounds. He keeps asking where the nurse went, the one with the calm voice. No one answers him. Morphine dulls the question before an answer is required. The system moves on because it must. By early July, American casualties in Normandy exceed 125,000. Every advance costs nurses as much as infantry, just paid differently. In command reports, Slanger's death is listed clinically. Killed in action by enemy artillery. No mention of staying behind. No mention of the patients who could not be moved. Those details remain only with the survivors. On the morning of July 11, 1944, the hospital prepares for another surge. Bombers are scheduled overhead. Everyone knows what follows: air support, more wounded than beds. The tables are cleared. Plasma is hung. The nurses take their positions. The hedgerows shake again. July 25, 1944. Operation Cobra begins. The sky over Normandy fills with American bombers. The ground crews at the field hospital hear the engines long before they see them. Everyone knows what this means. The breakthrough attempt will succeed or fail on a razor's edge measured in bodies. The bombing falls short. Some bombs land on German lines. Others fall among American infantry. Within minutes, casualties surge beyond anything since D-Day. Ambulances arrive non-stop. Trucks, jeeps, even horse-drawn carts pressed into service. The wounded come burned, deafened, buried by blast. Identification tags are missing. Faces are unrecognizable. The nurses do not ask how it happened. They already know. The hospital floods. Blood pools faster than it can be cleaned. Plasma runs low. Morphine supplies thin out. Decisions become brutal. Treat quickly, move on, or lose 3 instead of 1. The absence of Frances Slanger is felt now more than ever. She had been steady during mass casualty waves. She had kept the line moving. Now others must do it. One nurse takes over Slanger's former triage position without comment. Another picks up her habit of writing short notes to families when time allows. Small things survive, even when people do not. German artillery responds within the hour. Counterfire slams into the outskirts of the hospital site. Explosions rock the building. Dust rains from ceiling beams. The wounded flinch, some trying to crawl away despite injuries. No one leaves. The memory of June 10th acts like gravity pulling everyone back to their posts. Outside Saint-Lay, the front finally cracks. German units retreat under pressure from armor and air power. The price is enormous, but the breakthrough is real. Inside the hospital, victory is meaningless. A captain dies on the table, lungs collapse beyond repair. A private survives because a tourniquet is placed 30 seconds earlier than the textbook allows. The war is decided in these margins. By nightfall, the bombing has stopped. The guns fall quiet. The hospital still works through the dark. By morning, Operation Cobra has succeeded. American forces push south toward Avranches. The Normandy stalemate is over, but the ground around the hospital is crowded with fresh graves. Among the nurses, the lesson is unspoken and absolute. The war does not reward courage. It only demands it again and again. As the front moves, orders come down. The hospital will relocate forward once more. The tents are struck, supplies loaded. The same work begins again, and in the silence before departure, artillery resumes distant, searching. August 1944. The war moves faster now. After the breakout at Avranches, American columns race across France. German units collapse in pockets, then try to escape east. The distance between front lines and hospitals stretches, then snaps closed again as advances outrun supply. The 45th Field Hospital follows the pattern it has learned by pain. Move. Unload. Operate. Move again. The nurses are thinner now. Some evacuated with wounds. Some reassigned. Some gone. The work does not slow. Every relocation carries the same risk that took. Frances Slanger guns guessing at new coordinates. Shells falling where medicine waits instead of infantry. No one pretends safety exists. In late August, Paris is liberated. Crowds cheer in the streets. Photographs circle the world. The war feels, briefly, like a story with a happy direction. At the hospital, the wounded still arrive. Men hurt during pursued operations. Bridge crossings, rearguard fights. Accidents that happen when speed replaces caution. Victory creates its own casualties. On August 25th, a nurse reads from a newspaper between cases. The name Frances Slanger appears again, this time not in a casualty list, but in a short notice. Her death is officially recognized. Posthumous citations follow. It changes nothing on the floor. What remains is routine. Clamp, cut, stitch, stabilize, send back or send on. Weeks later, replacement nurses arrive from England. They ask about Normandy, about the shelling, about how to stay calm when tents shake. No one gives speeches. They are shown where to stand. As autumn approaches, the hospital prepares for colder ground and longer nights. The enemy is not finished. Germany still fights hard along its borders. But the meaning of Slanger's death has already settled. Because she stayed, the men beside her were not abandoned. Because she stood still, others moved forward. Her name does not change the strategy map. It does not alter orders or timelines. It lives instead in the quiet discipline that keeps hospitals running under fire. In the refusal to leave when leaving would be easier. World War II will be remembered for its generals, its landings, its battles. But it is carried minute by people like her. When the guns finally fall silent in Europe, long after Normandy, the nurses will pack away their gear one last time. Some will go home, some will not, and the ground where Frances Slanger died will remain just another field in France. Except for those who remember what was held there, under shellfire, when running was an option.